Balance is 0. Please come back when you can afford to make a purchase.
No.
I'm sorry you're having
Come
trouble.
on. My kids are starving.
Thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio. Here at Revolution Radio, we believe in freedom of ideas, freedom of speech, but above all, we believe in freedom of existence through self-reliance. This station is 100% listener-supported, and as a fundraising promotion, I have a kick-ass free gift for a $100 donation. 35,000 seeds. 25 years in the freezer. Long-term storable, 54 different varieties. So if food prices go crazy, the shit hits the fan, or if you just want to save tons of money every year by creating your own food like I do, grab our seed pack special. Just look for the banner on the homepage at freedomslips.com. Don't be a statistic. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. We need, as humans, to start taking care of ourselves and not depending on the megacorps to provide unhealthy, nasty food. Included in this package is also a DVD with 900 survival and off-grid living documents and the offline home canning how to do everything website all on the DVD. So when you're growing all that food, you know how to can it, store it, preserve it, etc. with all these documents. So thank you for tuning in to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I hope that you will pick up this package and start learning to be free. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps and freedom is one seed that needs to be planted.
What we do in life, it goes in eternity.
All right, let's get it going. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go! Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. It is 10 p.m. Thursday evening, and we are here live on Studio A. Yeah, you've waited all week for the most cutting-edge topics and guests, and now it is time to deliver. That's right, it's the Stephen D. Kelley Show with your host, Stephen D. Kelley.
Good evening, everybody. Another Thursday. Welcome to the Stephen D. Kelley Show. I'm your host, Stephen D. Kelley. Tonight we're having a very serious show, a very important show, a very serious show. And the subject tonight is going to be chemtrails, commonly referred to by people in the people that aren't thinking as contrails. But chemtrails are very, very serious. I was inspired to do this by a request to bring on a gentleman named Dr. Bill Weld. And for those of you that have been following this story, you'll know that this particular person has been getting quite a bit of attack, if we should say, about his credibility and whether or not he is a real, legitimate person who has anything to offer with respect to this subject. Now, I have to tell you that I went out on a limb for this person, and I caught a lot of flack for saying that I was going to have him on the air. People sent me all kinds of stories on Facebook and stories on YouTube and information trying to discredit this person and say that he was a hoaxer, a con man, a phony, and that he'd even gone so far as to admit to people that this is what he was. Well, needless to say, I have given him the benefit of the doubt for the entire period of time up until this evening. And I have written him, and I asked him to come on the show earlier, and this was before any of this information even started. He agreed relatively quickly to come on the show and be my guest. And almost immediately I became attacked. Now, the thing is that a lot of the information that he was putting out, one document specifically, was referred to as a government document that was allegedly being released by government military agents. And the name of this document was Domestic Quell. and it's exactly what it sounds like. It was alluded to a program, a secret program used to control the population and basically shut people down and take away their ability to revolt, if you will, or stand up to the Nazi forces that are taking over our country. Now, several times I asked Bill to contact me via phone and to give me his Skype contact information, and I was told very many times that he was too busy, things were hectic, he had hundreds of emails to go through, and I was very patient, and several times he responded back to me and said he was just too busy and but he would be calling in tonight. Now, that's unacceptable, because I have basically stuck my neck out for him, my professional reputation, to support him and to give him a platform to discuss this issue, in spite of all the negative propaganda or publicity that this person has attracted. And I let him know last night that this was not acceptable, and that if he does call in, we shall see if he calls in, but if he does call in, I am not going to be the supportive person that I was all week, because I will not allow a disinfo agent, a con man, a person who is irreputable, who will not take the time to talk to me on the phone for 5 minutes, to take anything away from the importance of this very, very important life and death subject that we are discussing. Now, his work and the products or the information that he has been putting out has been labeled as fear porn, because it basically is telling people that the government is poisoning us, and that if they want to flick a switch that we'll all get sick and people will die by the millions. Now, that's not to say that this isn't true, but you cannot present information like that without giving the full story, without giving all the details and the technology and of how this works, as well as some sort of explanation or some sort of methodology that we can use to defend ourselves from this, and how we can protect ourselves, and what alternatives we do have to stop this. So, we're going to do a few things tonight that are going to be a little bit different. For one thing, I'm going to open the phone lines for the entire 2 hours of the show. So if you'd like to come in and get involved, please do so. Now, certainly, I want to discuss a lot of the factors of the chemtrails, and I want to try to provide information that you're not going to hear anywhere else. And this is having to do with the scalar aspect and how it is affecting the chemtrails, and how scalar technology and scalar programming is a very crucial part to this entire subject matter. But anyway, for those of you that do not have the phone number recorded, it is area code 347-688-2902. That is the phone line for Studio A. We also have a Skype line that you can get in, and I believe the Skype number that you're going to use is Freedom Screen. One word, the word freedom, S-C-R-E-E-N. Okay? So that is how you're going to connect to us via Skype. So, I sent out a lot of information, or I sent out a lot of posts today on Facebook to try to, do my normal promotion. And in this post, I tagged quite a few of the groups that are out there that are involved in the chemtrail issue. And one of the things that I found was that I had nobody saw my post. So that tells me that Facebook and the powers that be, the NSA types, were actively trying to discourage these people from hearing this information. So what is it that they're trying to discourage? Are they trying to discourage the fact that we're trying to educate you just about the details? Are they trying to keep you from learning about the fourth density scalar technology that's involved in this? Or are they trying to prevent you from learning how to protect yourself and your family from this poison? Anyway, before I get into the show, I'm going to go ahead and take care of some company or some station business real fast. I want to remind everybody that this is listener-supported radio. We do depend on your donations, and you've all been very generous and very helpful, and I appreciate that. And I want to thank you all, especially those of you that are listening tonight and my fans that have been helpful in keeping this station moving forward. We really, really do appreciate all of your efforts and your sacrifices and everything you can do to help us spread the truth. We're doing very, very important work here. I have... I have my own Facebook page. I'm yet to get a website. I hope to have my website up very soon. The Facebook page for me, of course, if you look for Stephen D. Kelley, you can find me. Nope, got some people wanting to help. Also, Revolution Radio has a Facebook page too. It's easy to find. You go to facebook.com/Freedom Slips. And we've just got up to 1,500 likes on the Facebook page. I'd like to see a lot more of those because this way, it's just a great way for us to help to let you know who's going to be on the air and the different shows that we'll be promoting. I also want to remind people that this station has a very active chat room, and it's a great community to join. That we can have hundreds of people in the chat room at one time. So don't be afraid to join us in the chat room. And if you have questions that you would like to get in front of me and you don't want to call in and have your voice on the air, the chat room is a wonderful way to remain anonymous and to ask questions. And I know that the anonymity does allow some of my heckler trolls to get in there and try to cause trouble. I know last week I had Carrie Cassidy on the air, and we had a person in there in particular who was trying to make trouble. I think he knows who he is, and if he's there tonight, you're forgiven. We still love you. Hope you get over whatever it is that you're upset about. But anyway, again, very important show. So, for those of you, we'll start at the beginning and keep this simple. What are chemtrails? Now, I'm 55 years old, and I've got to tell you, when I was growing up, we did not have these spider webs crawling across the sky. This was not happening. People that want to try to convince you that this is normal, that this is ice particles from jet exhaust, are deluded. This is definitely a real thing. And I know that so many of us are waking up and so many of us are paying attention to this. And the reason, you think, why would they do this? They have a lot of reasons for doing this. If you first of all, if you need proof that this is happening, there's plenty of it out there. The U.S. government, the current administration, has actually presented a budget for this program, and they're referring to it as geoengineering. There is an effort to try to convince people, those that actually question it. I mean, they're more than happy to keep everybody ignorant and let them think that these are just normal clouds. But for those of us that are making noise, they will come out and finally admit that this is some sort of geoengineering or cloud seeding in the efforts of trying to modify the environment. And when I say modify the environment, this is that global warming hoax. They are trying to suggest that by spraying aluminum particles, heavy metals, all of these sort of things into the atmosphere, the upper atmosphere, that this is somehow reflecting radiation back into space and cooling our planet and is slowing down the global warming process. If that was true, it would still be wrong. There is no reason to be poisoning us to try to alter the temperature of the earth when that is false. Al Gore is full of it. This global warming hoax is nothing but a scam by the world government to try to coerce money out of people, to try to stifle production, and to charge us carbon tax and this nonsense. What I want to talk about is all the other reasons that they're using this for. Now, as I was talking to my producer, Sean, earlier, there are quite a bit of ingredients that are being sprayed out of these planes. And they've really gotten sophisticated. If you do research, you'll see that there are quite a few patents that have been processed and given. Type in and ask him if everything is okay. Do we go off the air, Sean? Sean, can you hear me?
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. We're back.
Okay. How much time was I off there, just out of curiosity? Just a moment. Okay, you guys, I apologize for that. We are expecting to be harassed tonight. Now, Revolution Radio has some very good servers and some very good staff and the ability to thwart most of these attacks. A lot of these channels or a lot of these networks that are on the internet do get harassed. I know I've been on the air many times where either my voice is shut off or the entire transmission is killed. So we know that they don't want you to hear this, and we're not messing around tonight. This is in your face stuff, and we're going to present information that they do not want you to know. Now, again, as I mentioned, I did open the phone lines. I've asked my producer to allow in anybody, and we're waiting to see now if this Dr. Bill Weld actually calls in and tries to get involved in this conversation. But I got to tell you, I did listen to some of his presentations on some other networks, with some other hosts, and typically when the questions started getting a little tough, he suddenly lost contact and was unable to be brought back in. So that doesn't give me a lot of confidence. And again, the very fact that he has not made any effort to come and connect with me, to give me a Skype contact, or to even confirm with me that he would have the time to speak with us, is a very, very bad sign. And if you're going to commit to being on a 2-hour radio program, I don't see how you can say that you're too busy to break loose for 5 or 10 minutes to give me a phone call just to let me hear the voice and have some sort of confidence that this person is going to actually call in tonight. So at this point, I really don't care if he calls it or not. In fact, I'm hoping that he doesn't, because I think that we're going to probably do much better without him. We don't need people making us look stupid when we are trying to save lives and we are trying to prevent possibly the greatest mass genocide that ever was. Now, do you really think, does anybody out there really think that the powers that be and those of the Illuminati and the New World Order, the ones that want to implement Agenda 21, the ones that want to remove 80 to 90% of the entire Earth's human population, do you really think that they're going to do that with bullets and gas chambers and this sort of thing? No, they are going to be using biological, chemical weapons. Obviously, Fukushima works very much into their plan. They certainly are using radiation to hurt us there. But let's talk about the chemtrails. The number one ingredient in the chemtrails is aluminum powder. Now, when I was in the optical industry, we used alumina powder for polishing very fine optics. And the point of that is that alumina powder can be created in a molecular size or a particulate size that is submicron, fractions of a thousandth of an inch. I mean, beyond a thousandth of an inch. A micron is you guys, you can look that up, but it's tiny. It is a tiny, tiny fraction of the width of a human hair. We are talking very, very tiny. And that is why these particulates stay up there so long. There's other components that are very important. Barium is a very key ingredient, and we're going to talk about the barium and the significance of the barium. And there's actually more than one type of barium that's being used. One of the barium ingredients is barium titanate. And if you write these things down, and if you do your Google search, which obviously every time we have these shows, I want you to do your homework, and I want you to take notes, and I want you to go after the show and to look up everything I say. I want you to look at these ingredients, and I want you to study this stuff. You've got to learn these things, because the sooner you do, the sooner you're going to come to the understanding of what you can do and why these things do, how they work. And this is important because it's not just for protecting your health and understanding what the enemy is doing to us. It's also going to help you to basically further your growth into the transition that we're looking forward to. Because the powers that be are using technology that is of the fourth density. They have technology that is way beyond what we are aware of. You could look at that as Tesla technology, and there's the first name that you need to write down, because if you are not well versed in the history of Tesla and you don't know about what Tesla did in the last 100 years, you need to, that's where you got to start. Tesla is the one that brought scalar energy to us. He is the one that basically brought our attention to it and was the first one to learn how to use it. And even though the scalar energy is being used against us by the powers that be, we have the ability to use it to reverse the damage. So we're going to learn about that. We're going to, you hear my shows, I talk a lot about radionics and scalar technology, and I very much want people to become aware of that, because that is truly a major step in coming to understand these things. Now, not only do the chemtrails have these heavy materials, they're also loaded with pathogens and biological materials and human blood product and viruses and all kinds of nasty concoctions. I was hoping to dig up a list of what's in there, but to be honest with you, they can change these recipes from one day to the next. So if we start with the aluminum first, what does the aluminum do to the human body? Obviously, aluminum is a poison. It is poisonous to us. It is no different than Prozac. It is no different than fluoride. It is the same thing. The pineal gland in our brains, which is so important and so necessary for us to decalcify and energize, this is the key to our psychic skills and our ability to move energy and our ability to wake up and basically open our minds and our spirits to the information and the improvement coming from the universe, because information is constantly coming at us, and it tells our DNA what to do. It keeps us healthy. It keeps us alive. Very, very important. And when you block the pineal gland, when you fill the body with aluminum and these heavy metals and what have you, a crust of calcium builds up around the pineal gland and it shuts it off. It's very similar to the calcium buildup in your arteries that will prevent your blood from flowing properly. This will also prevent your energy, your chi, your psychic powers. Your chi needs to flow. Call it orgone energy, call it chi, call it prana, cosmic energy, Odin force, whatever. Anu, every culture has a different name. Call it God, I don't care. Cosmic, grace, whatever. We all have different names for it. But this poison is designed to stop your brain from working and to shut you down and make you stupid and keep you docile and just ruin your health. If you look at the plants around us, how many forests do we have that are dying because of aluminum? Look at the trees, the pine trees on the mountains. They're dying, and they're blaming it on parasites and bark beetles and this sort of thing. Why do you think the bark beetles are able to gain a foothold? It's because of the plants are losing their fight for life, and their parasites are gaining a foothold, and that is why. We talk about water and living water. We talk about Dr. Emoto and Victor Schauberger. Those are two names. Write that down. Dr. Emoto, E-M-O-T-O. Victor Schauberger, that's not so easy to spell, S-C-H, Oh, UABERGER. You guys are going to have to work with me. But these people have shown that the water in our bodies and the water that we consume, when it becomes polluted with these heavy elements, the aluminums and what have you, it kills the water. It shuts down the water's ability to act as a Chi superconductor, and it kills us. I mean, and then you look at the fluoride that we're being fed in our water. Fluoride increases the body's ability to absorb aluminum by 400%. So what you're going to see is that all of these elements, all of this junk that they're dumping on us is just one component of multi-component mixtures that they dump on us. Somebody's asking about the weapons with chemtrails, and we're going to get into the weapons aspect of the chemtrails because certainly chemtrails are very, very much involved with Star Wars weapons, scalar weapons, and not just biological poison for the masses. Very, very important. All right, I got off on a tangent there. I was talking about water, but I'm going to go ahead and go right into the weapons. There are weapons that are based on scalar technology. And without devoting a whole lot of time to explaining what scalar is essentially the conjunction of a pair of matching sine waves or signals that are 90 degrees off in polarity. And when these signals merge, they create a wavefront, which is a fancy way of saying that they create a pattern that basically creates a second set of information, and that information is actually on a higher level of reality than the one that we are occupying now. And I'll tell you, the powers that be are very happy to keep everybody ignorant of the true nature of reality. This is why they controlled Tesla. This is why they shut him down. This is why we do not learn about Tesla in school. This is why they threw Wilhelm Reich in jail, another guy that we want everyone to listen to or to study and learn about. R-E-I-C-H, Reich, Wilhelm, obviously how it sounds. You need to learn about these guys. There's a lot of the planes that you see flying around that are spraying this stuff. Earlier, what they would do is by creating a cloud up in the sky of these elements, they would use this to provide a telemetry, a real life or a real time way of aiming these beams up in the sky. Now you think, why would they do that? Well, that has to do with dealing with force density aliens. We are dealing with a Star Wars. There is a Star Wars going on. There is a fight going on in the sky right now that we can't even see because a lot of this is happening on a level of reality that we are not even able to see at this time. And this is one of the reasons why they put this crap up there, is to allow these weapons, which are basically invisible beams, to even be seen where they're being aimed. That's how they calibrate these devices. There's another reason for using this, and that is anti-gravity. All of the anti-gravity ion experiments also require the use of this material to help to study the patterns and what they are using. A lot of times we see these clouds. I'll call them clouds, but they look like trails. They look like huge plumes that go from one side of the horizon to the other, and they usually have a corkscrew shape. The corkscrew shape is indicative of the vortex technology. So that's important to understand, because obviously energy travels in a vortex. Energy travels in a helical pattern, just like our DNA. We can spend so much time talking about those subjects just right there. We could devote entire weeks just to talking about that, and we probably will. Another reason for spraying all this crap up in the sky is to make it so that it's difficult for us to see what is going on above us. We have ISON heading our way. We have all sorts of some terrestrial events going on up there that they don't want us to see. I've shown people photos that I've taken of a so-called second sun, something that's obviously not the moon, and it's obviously not the sun, and it's not a sundog, and it's not an optical illusion, but it is a bright ball very similar to the sun that you see sometimes on the East Coast. They see them on sunrise. On the West Coast, we see them at sunset. There's one of the purposes of spraying this crap, is to keep us from being able to see that. So this is very important. Anyway, all right, we're 31 minutes into our show. And our special guest is not called in. And I know there's a few people out there in the chat room, and I know there's a few people listening to this. So, okay, here's your chance. Give us a call. I know I've had a lot of these chemtrail groups, and I'd like you guys to join us. I'll tell you, let's talk about this nanoquill and then the nanobots. The thing about the scalar information is that life, as we know it here on this level of reality that we're in right now, is actually controlled by a scalar wave, a scalar information. And the nature of reality is that these things work down. It's almost like a pyramid. We're on a level of a pyramid, and there's levels above us, and these levels go up until you reach the very top of the pyramid, which is the creator. And the creator uses these levels to implement reality all the way down. So if you take this soup and you spray it, and we ingest it, and it's in our bodies, and then we get exposed to a signal, the signal can actually activate these ingredients. And it works very much like a synthetic DNA. The materials can contain ingredients such as the barium I mentioned, specifically barium titanate. And these elements, I believe, act as a synthetic DNA when combined with all of the other biological agents and materials that they are dumping on us. So what does this mean? Morgellons disease. For those of you who are not aware of what Morgellons is, Morgellons, Morgellons disease. You want to look into that because Morgellons disease looks like a little fiber. It looks like microscopic fibers. And these microscopic fibers actually act like they are alive. Now, this does not mean they are spraying live worms on us. These are not little creatures that are spraying out of the back of the planes. These are actually life forms that are actually created synthetically by introducing this scalar programming into the mixture of these materials. There are also small devices similar to semiconductors, which are also being placed into our bodies through our food, through our immunizations, inoculations. And I know this is true because when I was in the laser business, I used a lot of Hitachi laser diodes. And I knew that Hitachi was very well advanced in the semiconductor microlithography business because they were a major producer of solid-state diodes or solid-state laser diodes. And these things were tiny, microscopic, tiny microscopic little devices. And they have actually made these tiny microscopic devices that are actually RFID chips and other devices. And these are in our bodies now. I know that Nestle, are we getting messed with pretty hard here tonight, Sean? This is not cool, huh?
Yeah, I got it back. Go ahead.
I appreciate that. I see Justin Time has joined us. How you doing?
No, that's an accident. I'm actually getting rid of him.
He's not there. All right. Well, I see that we have an area code caller 630. Oh, we just dropped him too. Wow, that's amazing. I'd say we're getting messed with here. Oh, wow. All right, anyway, you guys, again, the call-in number is 347-688-2902, and if you want to Skype in, it's Freedom Screen, one word. All right. I didn't think we were going to be able to get through this without a whole lot of trouble. It's going to be fun listening to it afterwards to see just how badly they attacked us. But anyway, the thing about the scalar is that once we know that this energy and these waveforms and these signals have to be used to energize these products and to make these things do their things, that gives us a big clue about what we can do to counteract these things. Now, I've been pushing orgone devices very hard, and I will continue to do so because I believe that this is one of the major tools that we have to protect us, and not only just to protect us from the radiation from the Fukushima and what have you, but to also counteract these signals that are being beamed at us from every direction to try to activate all this stuff. Wow. I don't know what just happened there. But the scalar, the orgone is very important. And if you Google orgone, O-R-G-O-N-E, and orgone devices and how to make orgone devices, it's really very simple. And people need to either go out and buy it or start making your own or get together with a bunch of friends and make it together, start a little club, whatever, do some crafts. You got to make this stuff. And now orgone is being traced and attributed to the technology or the concepts that were developed by Wilhelm Reich. And of course, he wasn't really responsible, but he did develop these policies. And a lot of people have basically taken that information and run with it. But if you look at what happened to Wilhelm Reich, you'll know that there was a good reason for them throwing him in jail. They did not want this information out there. He was a very prolific writer. He produced quite a few books, and these books were tossed into bonfires. And, you know, when we think about Hitler and the Nazis, we think about how they were throwing books over, you know, so many books into the bonfires. I remember growing up here in America, and we thought, gee, they only do that in fascist, communist countries and things like that. I never realized that they were doing that here in the United States on a regular basis. They just don't like to talk about it. Burning books is one of the most heinous things that a government could cause to have happen. And, you know, so when you know that the government went and created bonfires all over of the books of Wilhelm Reich, that should tell you got to go out there and learn about this guy. Okay, 630 cannot be added to the group. All right. Oh, we have an unknown phone number. Oh, I wonder if this is our mystery man. Sean, is our unknown phone number able to say hello? No? All right. I'm still waiting to see if Bill Weld is going to join us. But, again, and I know a lot of you people out there that are building orgone would like to talk about your building of your orgone devices. But sources of scalar can be anything from large-scale installations such as HARP. Obviously, the United States has this all over the place. Russia has been using this for quite some time. There are remote systems. It looks like there is a Looks like we're going to have to reset this thing so we can take calls. All right, Sean, let's go ahead and kang everything up and bring it right back. How's that sound? That should do it, huh? 10-4? All right. Okay, looks like we're back on the air. Hopefully resetting everything is going to make it so that we can take our calls and thwart the bad guys that are trying to shut this show down tonight. Looks like, you think that's going to do it, Sean? You think we're going to be all right here for a few minutes at least?
We'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, okay. I didn't really want to have to do this on my own tonight, but it's okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, great, you guys. I'm glad you're there. I'm not watching the chat room tonight. I actually had a few pages up here from. I was trying to gather some information about the what have you, the sprayers. You know, a lot of these planes, they're pretty subterfuge. They're, you know, it's not just Evergreen Air and Omega Air and CIA companies. You know, I mean, obviously the CIA has a huge fleet of planes. I know that they've got a fleet up in Oregon. I know that they're flying these things out of Vandenberg over here in California on the coast. And I know that they've got some fleets that are on the East Coast and in the central portion of the United States. But it's not just them flying these big planes with big tanks spraying the stuff all over back and forth. I mean, obviously, those are military planes. They've actually now been able to modify the jet fuel that goes into commercial airliners so that the commercial airliners will also spew this garbage. So they're getting very good at it. They also use rockets to do it. I know in the early days we used to see rockets being shot off from Vandenberg that would leave these incredibly ridiculous trails that would turn into big giant clouds, and we'd all look at that and go, "What the heck is that?" And the newspapers would talk about it. And how did we know that they were training and mixing chemicals and learning how to poison us? We had no idea. So I guess one of the most important things that we're going to have to do tonight, or we're going to have to do tomorrow after we get excited about this stuff, is to go out and talk to everybody and let everyone know that this is unacceptable and this is what's happening. Now, those of us in this community, the truth community, a lot of us, this is one of the major subjects that we talk about. And I know that a lot of us are going through issues with family and friends. They call us names. They think we're insane. They don't want to talk to us. They think that we need to get a life. I know my own sister said that I was an idiot for talking about chemtrails. All right. I see we've got area code 630 back. Tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Oh, Bill Connery. Can you hear me?
Yeah. What was your name again?
Oh, my name is Bill Connery.
Hi, Bill. What can we do for you tonight? What would you like to add?
You know, this is something I've been interested in for quite some time, this whole subject matter about chemtrails and the whole dynamics of what's going on in this world. It's a little alarming, but I'm really intrigued. And who am I speaking to? Is this Stephen?
Yeah, I'm Steve. How you doing?
Oh, hi, Steve. How are you? Yeah, I follow you over on Facebook here, and I just saw the Facebook ad that you guys are having a show tonight, and I just wanted to call in, say hi, and I support everything you do, man. You got great posts. I was really intrigued by this energy. I just noticed your post. You're healing some woman?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. I was doing some Reiki on somebody, and I was actually did a little bit of magic with some scalar technology, and it was pretty darn cool, actually. But
hey, I've been investigating this whole thing about prana and energy and all this stuff probably for the last few years now. I've always been intrigued by it, Mm-hmm. But I read this book. It was a Filipino guy. The book was called Pranic Energy. And that's how I got introduced to this stuff. And I got to tell you something. I didn't make this stuff up, man. But you can actually see this energy in the air. In the book, it said that, like on chapter 2 or 3. I was skeptical. Mm-hmm. It made these recommendations. You wait toward the sunset, and you look at a certain direction in the sky, and you get a visual of it. And eventually, these little light things that come out. It was the strangest thing. I thought I was imagining this.
Like little speckles, huh?
Little speckles, but you know what? They would always be in the periphery of my eye. They would never come right straight where I'd see them. It was always on the edges of my eye that I saw them. But occasionally they would fly in, and cross right down my path, and they look like little spermatozoid type things because they're moving so quickly, And they just came in and out of visual view, and then probably a couple weeks after researching this stuff, it got to the point where you actually could see like a rain coming down with this stuff. It looked like a gentle rain, but you only see it when you're like in a meditative state, when you're relaxed and stuff like that. Between my busy life, occasionally I'll do it, after doing it for a couple weeks, you can turn it on pretty quickly to actually spot it again. Mm-hmm. So you can see this stuff. You know, that's for sure. That convinced me that it's the real thing.
Well, the veil is getting thinner, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
And so, like I said, I'm intrigued by all this stuff. You know, I keep a close eye on what's going on, and I know about the New World Order. I mean, it's you know, it's things. I don't know. It'll hopefully will get better someday. I think. You know, I think
we are.
Yeah.
I mean, you are. You know.
Yeah. It has to. It's got to.
Yeah.
And maybe we're on a convoluted phase. Maybe I don't know. But I figure, you know, you got to get on a path. You got to do what's right, and you know, just keep an open mind, and just learn what you can learn. You know, and I'll tell you another thing too. Is I think is really, really good is fasting. Okay. You know, I'm a big faster.
Yeah. Well, that's part of that.
The longest fast I ever did was probably 23 days. But I have to tell you, man, it's really it's amazing. I mean, I've got all these advanced diseases, diabetes, and that's why I was on. When I saw your post, you know, there's another guy out there that does Scalar Technology. I don't remember his name, but he charges like maybe 100, 200. But anyway, he did this test where he wanted everybody to send a picture of a light bulb in, which I did. You know, he's going to light up the light bulbs. I think it's going to be about a week or two. I'm going to forward that to you on your Facebook.
That sounds like fun. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
I believe it. So he was demonstrating the remote characteristics of being able to send this energy remotely, basically.
Exactly.
That's right.
Well, you know, so I took a photograph. You know, so we're waiting. I'm going to wait and see.
I think that it's really what you're talking about here is really important because the energy aspect of all this is really number one. You know, because we talk about the negative stuff, the poisons, and what they're dumping on us. That's the fear porn. When you talk about the energy, now you're talking about the solution. So yes, you know, we talk about chi, we talk about prana, we talk about our human energy, our bioenergy, our auras, and all this. And I'll tell you, that is our number one protection right there. You know, and I'm
absolutely.
I am constantly telling people to develop their psychic skill, to serve others, to do all these things. And I'll tell you the benefits of going down that path, as you say, which is what we are all doing, is that you are setting yourself up to be protected. You're setting yourself up to be a survivor, and you are building your spiritual psychic armor that is going to make your body impervious to all this negative crap that they are trying to use to destroy us. So, very important.
Yeah. Hey, you ever read a book? There's a couple of really great. Did you ever hear of Magus Astrovalos? You ever hear of that guy?
Oh my God!
They call him. He was a sociology professor out of Maine. He wrote like 4 or 5 books about this Christian mystic healer on Cyprus, the island of Cyprus.
Oh yeah, I think I know who you're talking about. That was back in the 1600s, wasn't it?
No, he passed away in 95.
Okay.
He was called the Magus of Strovolos. It was like he wrote about 4 or 5 books about this guy, and it was I got to tell you, man, it was an absolutely fascinating. It was amazing. It was amazing. You know, he talked about different techniques for protecting you and stuff like this. I always thought about this, and actually, I use it a lot. I use it occasionally. I'm teaching my children how to use it. You draw this 5-pointed star over your body.
Okay.
It's supposed to protect you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we're not going to get into that. I mean, that's, you know, obviously that's magic, and certainly there's power there. But
but it's I guess there's different ways one can protect oneself. I mean, I'm really concerned about the nuclear radiation from Fukushima because it's starting to get all over the place now. It's evident.
We're going to talk about that. I mean, it seems, you know, I had a guy hassling me the other day about Fukushima and me not talking. I go, wait a minute. I talk about Fukushima almost every darn show. Listen, Bill, we're down to about 8 minutes before the break. So stick around if you want. But
absolutely.
We're going to have we're going to be hearing music real soon. Before we do, I want to remind everybody again, the call-in number is 347-688-2902. And you can Skype in one word, freedom screen, and our producer will accept you and get you in here. So my time flies, huh?
Yeah. So is there a video to this show, or is it just because I got my iPad in front of me?
Oh yeah.
Or is it just through the phone?
Well, there's no video, but if you'd like to listen to the show, it will be up on YouTube in about 24 hours from now.
Okay, good.
All right. So if you want to find it, it's really easy. You just do a YouTube search for Stephen D. Kelley, and then do a sort for the most recent uploaded, and this will be on the top of the list.
Okay, good. But I can listen on the phone tonight. I can listen to you.
You be my guest. Happy to have you.
Okay.
Anyway, but let's see, Sean. Hey, Sean, what's going on in the chat room? I know we got to have some activity going on. Anything happening in there?
No specific questions.
All right. Well, before the break, I'm just going to talk real quick about what Bill brought up here with the scalar work. Okay, I'm a Reiki master, so I use energy and healing. I had somebody came to me. She had actually approached me about a month ago, and she was having some horrible pains. And this was a pain that was associated with menstrual, but it was beyond that. It was really, really negative, really horrible pain. And it started back up, of course, and she called me up and said, hey, I don't have any money to go to the doctor. I really need you to help me out. So I got her over here, and I got her up on my table, and I did a little research prior to that, and I came to the conclusion that what she was suffering from are fibroids, which are like tiny little tumorous-type growths inside of the uterus or the ovaries. And sure enough, I ran the energy on her, I did the Reiki, and then I tried to locate the exact area where the pain was coming from, and it was right at the area of the ovaries. And I was instructed to do a okay, caller, unknown caller, could you turn the radio down, please?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Right,
anyway. So what I did was I was using a little touch therapy, very, very gentle touch to try to break up the stuff, and it was extremely, excruciatingly painful for her. And what I did, 479, you need to turn off your radio too, please. So what I did was I took a chip, a scalar, a little piece of orgone, and the type, it was actually a device that was created by Jerry Avalos over at Holotech, or the HoloTree. And this is a thing that they use for reducing emissions on the vehicle, giving you better gas mileage. And I had this thing sitting here in my living room, and I picked up a big piece of orgone that I used, and I tried that, and it didn't really do anything. And then I picked up this little chip for the car and laid it right over the area of her ovary. And she said that she could feel immediately numbness running out across her body from this thing sitting there. And it took away the pain. And it was amazing. I mean, it was not even made for doing that, and it did that. So, my gosh. But I'll tell you what was kind of weird was that after a while it stopped working. I picked it up, set it down, waited a moment, put it back, and it was working again. So I figure what it does is the orgone acts like a sponge, and it's the crystal material inside of it that acts like the filter and actually takes that negative energy and cleans it and converts it. So I suspect, Jerry, if you're listening, you got to add a little more crystal to the mix, possibly a little more metal. The sponge sucking it up works pretty good, but I think you need to have a little more crystal in there for the processing of it. Okay, we're almost going to go on to break, but real quick, area code 479, say hello. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Douglas from Arkansas. Thanks for the show. Somebody had mentioned something about Nestle's, and then y'all cut out.
Right. I was talking about Nestle has been accused of putting microscopic semiconductor RFID chips into their chocolate milk and some of their products. So we are ingesting these things. So when people talk about us having to take an RFID chip for Obamacare, heck, they're in our bodies right now.
Got it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else? 630, you're still here. Is that your music I hear, your radio in the background? You need to turn that down. Okay, that's better. I appreciate it. What do we got before? I think we got about 3 minutes before the music starts up here, Sean? Something like that?
About 15 seconds, probably.
15 seconds. Okay, you guys, stick around. We're going to be right back. And again, call us, please. We really want to hear from you tonight. Anything you want to offer, now's your chance. All right? And remember, here we go. Commercials.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. And we'll be right back after this message. Finder of lost children and missing persons. Monique Lassan. Surveillance, civil and criminal investigations. I investigate.
No, I am the chosen one.
Do not underestimate the power of good, and do not dismiss the strength of the child. Yes, every Wednesday evening on Revolution Radio, come join our very own Eye Investigatrix, Monique Lassan, with her Private Eye X-Files.
So you're the finder of lost children?
Private Eye X-Files, every Wednesday from 10 to midnight Eastern, Studio B, on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com.
I realize it's very hard for you to take in. But is your destiny to find the golden child?
Listen in to Journeys with JP, Tuesdays on Revolution Radio at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, with a variety of guests, each giving their unique perspective on their journey through to the now. Journeys offers you, the listener, a chance to share that perspective. Join me, JP, on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, simulcast with Wolf Spirit Radio.
Every Tuesday evening on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, we present our goddess spiritual warrior, Kathy Bilski.
I command. I call to the architect of the universe's divine creators and ask for permission to quantum leave the world in all life forms on all planes and dimensions, seen and unseen, connected with planet Earth, to let us go beyond our known potential into the greatest unknown golden age the universes and worlds and all planets have ever experienced.
Kathy teaches the spiritual truth so that you may create a better life and be able to make positive changes for yourself and for the planet. She helps us remember that we are not powerless, but very creative spiritual beings having an Earth experience. Time to quantum leap into the age of divine enlightenment and let Kathy provide you with the tools of knowledge you need to awaken spiritually. That's the Quantum Leap Show. Let Light Unite every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern on Revolution Radio, Studio B.
Enter into a world unseen on Raven Star's Witching Hour. You will encounter eclectic topics from the realm of spirit brought into our matrix of truth. With your host, the Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris will bring you an array of unique guests covering topics from ghostly spirits to amazing anomalies, covert technology, UFOs, and shadowy global events.
And that's right here, Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, Saturdays, midnight till 2 a.m. Eastern Time. Revolution Radio, where information never sleeps.
Let the magic rise.
Did you ever feel that things were not quite right? That everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
downloaded to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you then.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
What are we supposed to do?
I'm gonna fight, because I'm used to it. The rest of you are gonna have a tougher choice. And look, I don't want to sell it to you. It's too ugly for that. And it's ugly, and it's hard. But when you're fighting in your own backyard, you're fighting for your family, it all hurts a little less and it makes a little more sense. But for us, this is our home. Even the tiniest flea can drive a big dog crazy. So the first thing we have to do is learn how to work together. Become a unit. And that's going to take some time. So we're gonna have to evolve. Rewire our reflexes. Learn new skills and adapt old ones. So we'll find people we can trust. Friends with their ears to the ground who can help us get the things we need to fight back. Watch what they do. Study their tactics, their routines. The more we know, the easier it will be to hurt them. But we'll need to be smart, and we'll need to be patient. We'll hit them on our terms. When we're good and ready. We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it.
Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where the fight begins and information never sleeps. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right, everybody, welcome back. That was a short break. We get a little bit of feedback from somebody. I'm not sure if that's 630 or you or Just in Time just joined us. I want to remind everybody that what we're doing here, Sean, see if you can fix that for me, is we're risking our lives, all right? You know, this guy Bill Weld, he was supposed to come on tonight. You know, his whole thing was he was acting like he was in fear for his life. Someone was trying to kill him and his family because of releasing this information. And, you know, I hear that so much. People say, oh, my God, my life is being threatened. My God. I have had my life being threatened for 20-something years now, and you know what? You get over it after a while. You know, if they don't kill you in a year, they're pretty much not going to. All right, again, 630, I know you're the one that's probably got your radio playing, so please turn that down while you're there, you know, or come back and join us. Anyway, so I want you guys to understand that we are risking our lives doing this, and we are on the front lines. And you know, I had a caller on. We had a roundtable the other night, and this guy was trying to tell us that we had to get brave. I mean, this guy was calling from England, somewhere in the UK, and he was complaining about some law enforcement thing that took place in Texas about some innocent man being killed by law enforcement. He was trying to tell us that we need to get out there and stand up and call and do something about it. And he said, you know, his answer was to get on the phone and call up and complain to the mayor and to the chief of police. And I thought, well, wait a minute. That is exactly what we're doing. We are using our voice. Our voices are extremely powerful. We have our weapon is truth. We're not going to go to war with these people with our M16s, our AR-15s, and our fists and our baseball bats and our pitchforks. That is not going to happen. Our strongest weapon is the truth. And that means that you have to reach out to those relatives that think you're a nut. You have to reach out to those friends of yours that don't want to hear any more about this conspiracy theory nonsense. Those are the people that we need to wake up. And I understand that there are people out there that are never going to wake up, and that's very unfortunate. And I think that those of us that are in pain, and I hear this a lot from people that are on this path, they are in pain because of the loss of their friends, the loss of the respect of their family members, and they're feeling alone. And they feel like they're an island and they have so much weight on their shoulders. But we are not alone. Take one look in the chat room and you could see that there are a lot of like-minded individuals. We have probably 100,000 or more people listening right now who are feeling the same way, who are hungry for this information and are hungry to wake up and learn as much as they can, and they want to do everything they can to help their friends and their family and everybody to do the same thing. And you just got to keep trying and keep doing it. And, you know, we talk about the negativity and the things that we need to do to change this negative timeline and these awful things that we have to look forward to. Well, look forward to, that's not a good way of saying it, but these things that we could have in our future. And the fact, you know, serving others, rule number one, be more service to others than service to self, at least 51%. And I talk about expanding psychic skills. There's lots of things that you do to expand psychic skills. Losing fear is a very big one. That seems to be a constant issue. People talking about fear. So, the fear porn, don't let it get you down. People think you're gonna lose your job or something bad's gonna happen if you try to wake other people up. You got to lose that fear. Now, one of the other ways that you increase your psychic skills is by teaching and also learning. We're all students. We're all absorbing this energy as much as we can. But when we share that energy, when we share this information with our friends, that is our teaching. And when you teach, when you give information, energy flows in the opposite direction. That's one of the key elements or the key factors of understanding the nature of energy is the relationship between information and energy. And when you receive energy, you give out information. When you give out information, you receive energy, and vice versa. So, very, very important. All right, we have just in time. Are you there? Do you want to join us? Or are you just listening?
Good evening, Stephen. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thanks for joining us.
First of all, I wanted to give my apologies to you, your producer, and the audience. I called your producer first, and I think he went to answer, which I've done many times in the past, and put it on hold. So I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that was your work. Okay, all right.
Was me. I'm sorry.
Blame it on me. I'm the amateur. Remember?
Yeah, that's right. But I just wanted to comment a couple things on what you were talking about at the beginning of your show, where these chemtrails. I do believe there's a difference between chemtrails and contrails. I had a father that worked for the airline for over 35 years, so I've been around planes, airliners, airports most of my life, and I do feel I know a difference. And where I'm living right now has been almost at least 25 years. I live by a couple airports, one being Los Angeles International. I know the flight patterns of the planes that go out, come in, and I got very suspicious when I started seeing these big jumbo planes, whether they were 747s, something a little smaller, flying in all these new patterns, all these new directions, and leaving this white cloud of exhaust, whatever you want to call it, behind that didn't dissipate right away. You can always tell a contrail, or at least you could. Who knows what they're doing with technology today, but you could always tell a contrail because it always stayed the same length continually as the plane moved.
Right.
Say if it was only an inch long from the view that you were looking at, it would stay that inch long as the plane moves through the air. But not these chemtrails.
Well, the thing about that is that that's supposed to be tied into the amount of humidity. It needs to be a certain temperature and a certain humidity level for that to actually happen. So I noticed that when it would be really warm and there'd be zero humidity, they'd still be doing it. And it's like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's very cold up there. Sometimes 100 below, 130 degrees below where those aircraft are flying at, say 30, maybe 35,000 higher. It's cold up there. So yeah, when that cold air goes into those hot engines and then is dispersed on the other side and goes back into that cold temperature, yeah, that forms little ice crystals, and that's what I was always taught these contrails came from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they dissipated so quickly.
Right.
But
you look at it now, you can see the particulate, you can see that it's being affected by gravity. It's like somebody took big bags of flour and dumped them out of the side of the plane.
Exactly.
I mean, really, that's what it looks like, right?
Well, and I've never seen anything like all the photos I've seen, and I've actually seen outside my own house above, these crisscross patterns that look like a checkerboard. And one day, I'll never forget it, I was out in the backyard looking up, and here, I said, oh, there's another one of those chemtrails. Wasn't real high. He wasn't 30,000 feet high or whatever. He was a lot lower. But he did 100 an 80-degree turn, like a U-turn, and went back in the other direction. Now, I have never seen that in my life.
Yeah,
and I was convinced when I saw that.
Well, they must be working really well at keeping people stupid, the fluoride or the Kool-Aid or whatever you want to call it, because, oh my God, who in their right mind could possibly think that these are commercial aircraft making these crazy patterns in the sky? It doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Well, and when I have time, I try to research things that interest me, and I found one site that's real interesting and I think is legit. Stop the Crime, but I've gone through a PDF that they have. It's The Future of Wars. And it's got all these pages that have a NASA logo on them, and it actually talks about plans for the future, plans that have already taken place. And I find one of the pages very interesting, and I think refers to just this. It's called microdust weaponry.
Right.
And it's something like a mechanical analog to bio micron-sized mechanized dust, and it's to be distributed as an aerosol and inhaled by the lungs. Therefore, the particulates bore into the lung tissue. And at the bottom of the page, it says it's a wholly new class of weaponry which is legal.
Well, they're certainly not going to tell us about it, right?
Well, no, and then I really got interested last night when I believe the gentleman's name was Tony.
Right.
And you were talking about this orgonite, and I was looking into it, and I'm just awed. Wow, looks like it was found. Is this where the name came from? Reiki?
Reiki was developed by a Japanese guy a while back, and his name was not Dr. Emoto, but my God, I feel terrible for not Master Usi. His name, we refer to him as Master Usi. But again, Reiki. This is just the guy that basically put this together. But this type of energy healing has been around for eons, and it's only recently that in modern times that this one particular practitioner gave it a name and developed these symbols and started teaching it to the masses. So we talk about Reiki, but you could almost say that Reiki is a nice. It almost applies to almost all energy healing. And the Hindus, they do what they call pranic healing, and it's almost the same thing.
Which has to do with etheric energy?
Yeah, etheric energy, bioenergy, karma, chi, orgone energy, anu. They called it all sorts of different names, but it's life force energy, and we all have it.
And it said you could actually kind of put this together yourself if you wanted to by stacking alternating layers of, say, fiberglass, steel wool.
Right. Well, what you're describing is the device that was created by Wilhelm Reich, and what he called an orgone collector, and it was basically a box that you sat inside, and the box would have, say, wood, a layer of wood, a layer of metal, and then another layer of wood, and that was that capacitor type dissimilar materials concept being applied. And the idea was that this orgone box would collect this orgone energy, and that this would affect the health. And he was trying to use this for getting rid of cancer and all sorts of things. And obviously the FDA said that was all hokum. And when they burned his books, they burned all his little orgone devices too. In fact, if you go and you look at references of quackery, they'll show people with these orgone devices, and they use these as examples of quack medicine. But we know today that this is not quack medicine. There really was something going on there. And the other thing about these orgone devices is that we do have what are called cloud busters. And they'll take like a 5-gallon bucket and fill it with the resin, the metal shavings mixture, and then stick copper pipes, sections of copper pipe, usually like 6 of these things pointing upward, and then they'll put a quartz crystal, a terminated pointed quartz crystal in the bottom of each one of these copper pipes, and then they would stick it inside this bucket of stuff. And it actually causes the ions in the air to move. And it's almost like a gun, because you point this thing up at the sky, and it will actually move positive and negative ions, otherwise known as positive or negative orgone, and it can actually cause an alchemical reaction in the atmosphere and would break up these chemtrails. All right, 630, you're making all kinds of noise. Talk to us. What's going on? You got something? Sean, we're going to have to let him go because he's making too much noise. I'm sorry about that.
Sounds like he had a popsicle or something.
Well, he was enjoying the show, and I certainly don't have a problem with that, but, we want to try to keep the background noise down to a minimum as much as possible.
Well, and you can always go to tunein.com, too, if you want to listen in.
Yeah, there you go. Well, okay, again, the orgone is one of the biggest things that we can do to protect ourselves from these devices and from this negative stuff that they're trying to do. So even if you've got it in your body, having orgone around your home, working on your own psychic skill is the best defense. I want to talk about Morgellons a little bit here. Morgellons, they look at these things, they're like little tiny microscopic worm-like creatures. And I know that people have been seeing these things after a big spray. They look like spider webs hanging from the trees and stuff like that. And I know that people have actually had these things. They've seen them growing out of your skin. It's pretty nasty stuff. Now, I've actually heard stories of these scientists actually taking this material into the lab and putting it into a glass mortar and pestle and taking that and grinding it up and trying to crush up these fibrous substances. And upon returning, they would see that not only did the fibers reconnect and recreate the fibers from the ground up material, but they were actually beginning to actually work their way through the glass material. They were actually going through the glass. Jerry wants to call in. Jerry, go ahead. Sure. I think Jerry wants to talk about orgone and some of his devices, and why not? Let's get him in here. Jerry is the guy from Hollow Tree, and he's the guy that made the little device that I was talking about earlier that I was using on the woman with the painful fibroid issue. We talk about tools. His devices, he's incorporating some scalar technology into the orgone, which is really kind of cool because the orgone technology needs to be put out there. I mean, it needs to get rediscovered and advanced. And the more of us that are making these things, the more of us that are going to understand what these things can do. So that's pretty fun stuff. All right, Jerry, I can't tell if you're on or not. If you are, why don't you say hello? All right, Sean, I'm not sure if he's on mute or not, but anyway, okay, he looks like he might be with us. Okay, Jerry, say hello.
Hey.
All right. So anyway, all right, thanks for joining us. We're talking about what we can do to kill these signals. And it's not so much. We want to attack the chemicals. We want to try to use our alchemy to basically destroy the stuff while it's in the air before it gets into our bodies. But we also can use tools as well as our psychic skills to basically stop the energies or programs from allowing these things to turn into little tiny life forms. So I assume you want to talk about your scalar stuff and the radionics and what we can do to combat the chemtrails with that?
Yeah, we can definitely get into that. And then also just one thing to remember, too, for everyone, without having to buy anything, is that remember any disease, any kind of even injury has to have some kind of energetic, psychological component attaching itself to it. So, for instance, if you have a nagging injury, it's and if it's been there for more than 7 to 11 years, like you've recreated that damaged tissue in your body because there's not an old cell still alive from that time.
Yeah, you're talking about auric. It manifests in your aura prior to becoming a biological reality.
Absolutely, and this is something that even biology on your most basic level will confirm about how our cells actually do regenerate and the time span it generally takes for organ regeneration. And so that alone lets us know that it is possible. But then in terms of technology, there's quite a few different things that can be done. There is various devices, various different even meditation techniques, of course. I know you've been talking about orgone, and that actually does help to at least change the etheric climate, I guess you can say, because it's not necessarily the multidimensional cascade, I guess is what we tend to call it, isn't something that is always measured in, say, EMF or heat or anything like that. So it has to do with associative tunneling of quantum entanglement. So those entanglement properties can manifest in this reality in many different ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's like Reiki. We treat the aura with Reiki. We're not just running energy through your body. We're also cleansing your aura. Before we get too far into that, Jerry, I don't want to interrupt you. We don't want to continue with that. But before I forget this, I want to tell people hydrogen peroxide is very helpful in combating Morgellons. We have to bring this into it's in our food and we breathe it. I recommend people to use peroxide as a mouth rinse on a daily basis, because this has been shown to combat these things that we are bringing into our bodies from the atmosphere. And it's also a good way of dealing with it on your skin. I know people have had like little sores that they get from these Morgellons things, and I tell people, apply peroxide directly to it. It's oxygenated water. It's a pure thing, and it's good for you. All right. Go back to it, Jerry. What do you want to tell us?
Well, actually, that's a good point. Just real quick on tangent with that. Oxygenation is a huge factor in general health, let alone combating any kind of exotic applications that might be aimed our way. And that's part that actually does factor into why some of our foods have been weaponized. Like there's organic sulfur has pretty much been taken out of our diet, which is a key component of oxygenation. So that's good advice to try to get that more into you as possible. And so that's one of the things that actually how we're talking about some of the holographic and scalar applications. That's one of the components that is in our biofill boost code that we're getting ready to release here within the week, which is kind of adds more on to what we've already kind of given free on your show before with the soothing scalar. This will add more. This product has more frequencies to attract more oxygenation, as well as a bunch of other things to help calibrate your biochemical field and the meridians, the chakras, and all that type of energetic alignment that actually does help to promote our health, promote our energy levels, and organ health as well.
I want to talk about the EMF reduction mainly because I believe that the scalar signals that are going to be directed to us to activate these negative compounds, they're going to be coming from our cell phones, they're going to be coming from our TVs, they're going to be coming from the cell phone towers, and they're going to be coming from massive military installations. They could even be coming from our AC electricity. The power plants can introduce these signals into our AC electricity. So scalar is all over our house, and EMF is all over our house. So having this stuff around is very, very important. Is there any? Do you have any anti-EMF stuff that you can offer, or something? It's anti-chemtrail stuff. I know that the anti-chemtrail stuff is also being put into a lot of this stuff, isn't it?
Well, eventually some of these products will be reinvented, because I remember I did work with a different company before, and that was a whole completely different product line that they dealt with. We do have some EMF canceling products still available from some of the existing technology that we have some versions left over from an old supplier. There will be revamped versions of that coming up. And but just one real quick addendum I wanted to do to what you're talking about there, because this actually gets into something called Project Tumbleweed, which actually is specifically sending signals using the 60 hertz cycle as a carrier wave for subliminal messages and scalar interaction with everyone. So right now, yes, the electrical grid is mind hacking you.
Yep.
And is it coming from? So are these actuation programs being sent over the airwaves right now? Yes, they are there. Every time they tell you that you will inherit cancer. I'm sorry, genes don't self-actuate. That's something that can be proven. It's science. Genes don't turn themselves on. You either have to do it with the environment or some kind of intrinsic algorithm or peptide chain, which will then turn on that DNA strand. So if that doesn't happen by any other way other than the environment or yourself, then it's like, it doesn't matter if your mom, pop, dad, whatever, had heart failure, lung cancer. It doesn't really matter.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we control our reality. Jerry, hang on there. I want to bring in this caller we got, area code 919. What's your name and where are you calling from? Turn your mute off, please. Well,
hey,
I don't know if
Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy from North Carolina.
Jimmy, how you doing? Talk to us.
Good. I called in on, I don't know what show I'm on right now. I was trying to figure it out.
Okay. I don't think I understood it. Was that a question?
No, I said, which show am I on right now? I'm not sure.
You're on the Stephen D. Kelley Show. Welcome. We're talking about chemtrails tonight.
Okay. Not sure exactly what it is. I'm just listening in for the moment, see what it is.
All right. Well, you stick with us while you think about it. Just keep your background noise down, and you're welcome to stick around. And I'm going to bring in area code 760. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Steve. This is Bill.
Bill. Hello, Bill.
You should know my number by now.
I'm gonna have Sean write it down and put it up on the wall. Watch for this guy.
Block this guy. Yeah, exactly.
How's it going? What's going on in Rhode Island?
Actually, what's funny is I was about to call when Jerry called to tell everybody that I'm actually holding one of the orgone pieces. It's a combination of your tech and Jerry's tech together, and it's actually my favorite. It actually seems to give me good luck, not just better health and better sleep. I'm holding it right now. It's the one with the figure 8 scalar.
Oh, okay.
I call this scalar, the scalar 8 coil inside. So
the infinity symbol, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The figure 8. But Jerry, you there? Well, anyway, hi, Jerry. Hey, how's it going?
You have permission to respond.
I just had to click the unmute button. So.
Hey, I wanted to add a very quick story to help your chemtrail situation out here tonight. Steve, I don't remember if I actually told you this or we talked about this when all three of us were hanging out, but my friends in, same situation as you, deep black stuff years ago, 1994 or late 93, had explained to me about these little things they try to put in your blood called global trackers, about they're self-sized and they're self-replicating, and this is one of the things they're assuredly spraying through the air, and long since developed, and you get just one of these in you, they just self-replicate, and at that time they were just telling me they were a global tracker, so anywhere you are in the globe, these things are tiny, but yet they still perfected on how to track where you are. I'm sure it's related. And as far as contrails,
Bill, I just want to say real quick that when people hear what you're talking about, this high technology, and the people think, how could they possibly afford to be creating these ridiculously complex micro devices and spraying them out by the billions of pieces? This stuff is not cheap. Billions of dollars are being spent on aluminum alone to spray in our skies. One of the key ingredients I mentioned earlier, the barium titanate, an ounce of barium titanate is $5,000. That is like a little baggie of this powder. $5,000 comes from China. So where's the money coming from to dump tons and tons of this stuff on us? Imagine that.
Well, who needs money when you can just invent it out of air, and you have 1 million secret gold mines and slaves to mine it, and you have the power of alchemy to transform anything into anything else.
That's right. They're making gold. You don't want to believe it, they are.
No, they are. But remember, if these things are self-replicating, then you don't need too many. You just need enough to get them in the general population. I wasn't told they're spraying it on people, but obviously they could do it. Mm-hmm. They're capable. And real quick with contrails and what you talked about, normal jet fuel, I was told about around 10 years ago or a little less. This guy did a study with his team about what's in normal contrails, and they discovered horrific things, and they couldn't believe it. Went to their boss. The boss told them all to shut up or you're fired.
That's right.
Scary.
That's right. These guys that are these airline people that are doing the maintenance on these jets, they're going on, they're climbing inside these planes, and they're seeing all this crazy plumbing that doesn't make sense. Yeah, they're getting threatened with their lives are being threatened if they say anything about it. So this is
one last
serious
thing.
business. Yeah.
One last thing. Just to answer Justin Time's question, I think it's Deborah Tavares' website. But I'll sit back and just listen. I'm trying to chill right now anyway. My nerves are kind of on fire. So, hey,
nice
good
talking
show.
to you. Yeah, hang in there and keep everything quiet.
Thanks.
I'll tell you, this show went awful quick. We're down to less than 30 minutes, and it seems like we'll just say a few more things. We're going to be hearing music. Again, we got a little bit more time. If anybody wants to call in, 347-688-2902. It's such an important subject because people's lives are at stake, and we're trying to save lives. We're trying to prevent this genocide. So you guys need to go out there and talk to your friends about this. Yeah, I mean, my God, it's happening right in front of everyone's face. If you're out in public and these things are on top of you, up and above the sky, turn to the person next to you and say, "Look at that. What do you think that is?" I mean, engage these people. The people need to wake up, and they're confident that we're all stupid and they can get away with this forever. Okay, looks like 760. You want to let 760 go? That is our friend in Rhode Island. Okay.
Hey, no, that's me. I'm just kicking back, and so hi and bye, Jerry and Steve. But yeah, I'll just sit here listening.
All right. We had another unknown caller that was supposed to be brought in, and I don't know who he is. It could be Bill Weld is actually coming through. But I wrote him, and I'm not trying to be negative and piss anyone off out there, but I basically let him know in no uncertain terms that what he was pulling was unacceptable, and that I am not an idiot. I'm not going to fall for this nonsense. And I'll tell you, the very fact that he wanted to come on this show tonight and to discuss this subject kind of makes me think that we are doing a good job and that I am being targeted to be discredited. So that's not going to happen. Remember, we are all about information. We are presenting information. The listener has to have an open mind. You have to do your own homework. If I tell you there's all these poisons in the chemtrails, you need to go out there and you need to look at what's in those chemtrails. You need to read up on yourself. You need to study about Tesla. You need to study about Schauberger. You need to study about Wilhelm Reich. All these guys. Jerry, you want to add anything? Since you become my guest. Speak.
Excuse my phone there. They're you gotta give them as many added listening devices as possible, but yeah, it is very important to become aware of this. I mean, there is a pretty obvious difference from a contrail and a chemtrail when you see particulates falling and you can actually check the barometric pressure in your weather report every day and kind of see where those contrails would have to be forming in relation to what patterns those planes are flying.
Exactly.
You can get really intricate into this to prove or to try to disprove whatever you want to do. But either way, you have some anomalous planes, and you do have the soil samples that researchers have done that show an incline of aluminum in the soil, which does change the pH level, which does affect the crops. And so this goes even just beyond trashing the bodies. It's actually making it harder for food to be grown, unless of course you have the Monsanto GMO version of it.
Don't forget Monsanto and their aluminum-resistant crops. You think they know something that we don't?
Yeah, why would they need to create that? If there wasn't some kind of, some reason there, something to do that, that they're recognizing, and apparently even unofficially, now officially through this product. So it's like, well, why don't you guys tell us why there's so much aluminum in the soil now? Why don't you? But yeah, it is important to look at that, and it's actually almost even more important to look into the mass manipulation of the mind control, because this is one of the things that other researchers have also speculated in relation to the elements being sprinkled in the air that can be used in conjunction with other technologies like HARP and other ELF weapons, and for all we know, scalar applications as well, to where you can use those to weaponize them, alter, barometric pressure, obviously, and so on and so forth. So in a lot of ways, this does create a more conductive environment for those types of operations. So in a lot of ways, I think that it could very well be partially a war on the populace and partially just the fact that there is a secret war going on in the space program. And things like this could very well be part of a defense system against, say, advanced aircrafts, but it could also be serving a dual purpose, because as we see that a lot of these
multiple purposes. Yeah, multiple purposes, right.
Yeah, so I wouldn't doubt that that's the case.
Well, something that I say a lot is when you're dealing with these New World Order secret society types, just about everything they do always has multiple agendas and multiple purposes. And half the time that's used to confuse us, because as humans, we tend to like to argue with each other. And we like to say, no, they're doing it for this. No, they're doing it for that. Oh, geoengineering. No, it's anti-space. We spend so much time arguing over silly details when we're actually all correct. And these guys laugh at us because we are wasting so much time flapping our lips when we should be doing something and helping each other to work together to solve these problems. So that's what we're doing tonight. We're trying to solve these problems and give people tools. So Jerry, you make tools. Obviously, I'm trying to tell people to make orgone, get as much orgone as you can, and also start thinking about increasing your psychic skills, because we can do the same darn thing with our brains. We talked about that a lot last night. Well, actually, last night we had that open roundtable. Yeah, join us on the roundtable, Jerry.
Yeah, definitely try to do that sometime.
Well, it's the roundtable. I'm doing a roundtable now Tuesday night. I was joined by a couple of producers last night, and of course, we could discuss whatever, but we can have up to, over a dozen people on the air at one time on these roundtables. So there's no reason not to call. But it's Tuesday at 11 p.m. Pacific time, and I guess that's 2 a.m. the next day East Coast time. But anytime we can get on the air and we can get information out there and try to educate people and share the truth, this is important stuff, because we got to train these people. We got to get everybody up to speed. You want to add something to that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that the more do-it-yourself kind of applications one can look into, the better. I mean, we have obviously the professionally made products, and that have their various targets of effect. But there's also things that you can do at home, and I think that's what's most pertinent to, it seems, most general audience. I mean, I think most people who are listening to shows like this are capable enough to do a Google search on someone and find stuff. So here we're talking about making sure that the information that should be free remains free, and that there's also some kind of guidance on how to apply it. So that's one of the things that. One of the cheap and easy ways that you can do the orgone is you can get resin from a bunch of different places. I mean, you can even get it in Walmart. Look in the jewelry section. They sell very small little quantities for their hobby jewelry section. So those, it's very easy to work with, and theoretically you should be able to even use almost like a Bondo composite type of thing, or like the fast steel, fast plastic. Yeah. You should be able to use that.
A lot of people have been talking about. I've heard people talking about using clay and stuff like this, but I got to say that there's the resin. The big thing about the resin component is that it's supposed to be organic. Okay, you've got your inorganic and your organic material, and the other big thing is that when resin hardens, it contracts. And so when you put that quartz crystal in there and this stuff starts contracting and setting up, it's going to squeeze that quartz crystal, and that is going to cause a piezoelectric effect. It's almost like turning it alive. And they've actually taken these orgone devices and put them in front of Carillion cameras, and they've actually been able to photograph a blue aura surrounding this. So yes, it's almost like when you put these things together, you are creating a living entity practically.
I got a question for both of you guys.
Okay.
Hey, with quartz, is this a normal practice? In other words, if you grind up quartz to a small enough powder, Can you mix it into something to ingest and have it help you? Or I hear witches do things with different crystals, like little plants and things like that.
I know Jerry likes to use crushed quartz in his devices, but I have to say real quick, Bill, is that if you look at the reason why quartz does what it does is because it has that tetrahedral structure, okay? And that's very important. A quartz crystal has a tetrahedral structure which causes it to form channels which actually cause the energy passing through it to go into a helical spiral. And this is what is actually causing that energy to be cleaning. It's actually causing it to go into that helical spin is what is actually cleaning that energy up and changing it from the bad energy to the good energy. And when you talk about ingesting in your body, the water in your body also has a tetrahedral structure when it has hydrogen bonds. And the hydrogen bonds are basically when the hydrogen and the oxygen molecules all kind of link up to form this nice little lattice which perfectly duplicates the tetrahedral structure of quartz. So anything that all these magical properties we associate with quartz crystals, you have in water. But that's water that does not contain aluminum, and that's water that does not contain heavy metals, and that's water that is not polluted by chemtrails. So there, again, that's one more reason why they are polluting us with this crap, because they want to kill the water that we drink and the water that is in our bodies that we are made of. They're trying to kill our ability to absorb and process chi and energy. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much. But actually,
real quick, hold on, Bill. Do not ingest quartz. Okay, that's glass.
Yeah.
Okay,
drink water. Drink the water.
Do not drink quartz. You're drinking glass. So.
Yeah. Okay. I have to say this though. When you drink with the water, okay. Obviously, we talk about living water and whatnot, and there's a lot of people out there that complain. They think that's hokum, but the living water, what is living water? It's water that has those hydrogen bonds. Now, when you microwave water and you microwave your food, you break down those hydrogen bonds in the water, in that food. And how do you get those hydrogen bonds to get back together? With intention. When you're cooking and you're stirring your food, you are putting intention into your food. That's kitchen witchery, as they call it, but this is the same thing. So, how do you get your water? Obviously, you need to have water filtered. You got to not have fluoride in it, not have aluminum and all this garbage. But even still, the best way to make that water alive is to stir it and give it intention. Just like when Dr. Emoto basically wrote love on the side of a container of water, and that water assumed the characteristics of that love intention. I know you can probably add something to that, Jerry.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to project your intention at your food in general help seems to correlate with restructuring of these atomic bonds, which is really gets into the scalar applications that we're talking about here with some of the radionic technology and the various holographic implantations. So, and you think about it, our brains having the two different lobes interacting in unison is what's creating that interference pattern, the conglomerate of different types of energetic fields, which seems to correlate with that vector in relation to the scalar field. So
yeah. What Jerry just said is that our brains put out scalar, but it takes two sides of the brain to do it. The right and the left side both put out a signal, which essentially joins somewhere in the front of your face, kind of your third eye. It puts out a beam of energy. We like to refer to that as the pillar of light. But yeah, that is how we generate our scalar waves that basically alter the reality around us and the reality of people around us.
Absolutely, and it leads credence to a lot of the self-help, energy psychology modalities relating to hemispheric operations versus like in relation to things like fight or flight mode versus being in a full response capacity. So when we're in a fight or flight mode, we're really kind of pinging off of one hemisphere mostly. So that
that's the fear thing. Yeah, that's the fear thing that comes in and shuts it down. But I think, Jerry, what you're saying right now that's really important, and it kind of gets back to the Dr. Emoto and this whole business with intention, and that is if enough of us in the world were to all basically join together and focus our thoughts on a common intention, be it save the world or clean the world or remove the radiation from the ocean or whatever, we can do magic things. I know that they say that people talk about the energy coming from the heart as being so great, but I know that the human brain produces massive amounts of energy, which they actually quantify as a Tesla unit. And I know that if you get enough humans together, we can actually reproduce the same amount of energy that you could probably get from an atomic bomb. So don't think that we're weak. Enough of us humans get together, our brain power can do incredible things. We can change the world and we can change reality. And it's just a matter of enough of us getting together and working together to do this. So that's why we're on the radio right now, to try to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, and real quick, in relation to that same page and changing reality, this is one of the things one of the points of view I've been coming from lately. Because if we look at everything as a potentiality in the multiverse, we're not necessarily changing the world around us. We're actually changing what world we're inhabiting in relation to the multiverse. So you can, yeah, exactly. And so you take out the effort in a sense. So that's where I think I theorize that a lot of the mysterious 10 to 20 pound drop some report having when they start waking up to all the lies in the world. And then they're not exercising any different. They're not eating any different, but they drop X amount of weight or something just changes.
Or they stop eating and they're not losing weight like me.
Or something, basically. And it's basically that is a residual effect of the synchronization of these different timelines coming together into one higher potentiality. At least that would be my theory. Relating to what I've experienced myself and others, and then how the mechanics seem to work in relation to the technology that we're producing.
Well, let's see here. We are down to about 10 minutes left in the show. I don't see any more callers, and I haven't been looking at the chat room. Do we have anybody that has any questions that we can take care of before we conclude this show?
Hello?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi. This is Mike in New York.
Hi, Mike. What can we do for you?
This is my first time on the show. I saw a post on Facebook, and I was drawn here. And I'll tell you, 4 years ago, I didn't believe in any of this chemtrail crap. I used to cycle. I'm a road cyclist. A buddy of mine, Steve. We used to be all over the place. And I always believed in UFOs and other life, but this kind of stuff was like, nah, that's even too far out for me. And then one day, we were in the parking lot of a Sam's Club. And he stopped me and pointed up. And I'm watching this plane go from one end of the horizon to the other. And to my horror, the freaking thing did a right turn, 180, and came back along the exact same glide path to the other direction, near horizon, turned around again. We sat there for 30 minutes. The whole time my jaw's on the floor, I'm going, holy crap.
Yeah, the pilot got lost.
That's not normal, dude. That is completely not normal. And then of course, their initial, news reports were saying, oh, it's to spread this and that to help with the ozone layer and nonsense. And when scientists start, testing, rainwater, I read of a case of a guy in California. The dude got arrested for catching barrels and barrels of rainwater. Since when is that illegal? Mm-hmm. What did they not want him to do with that rainwater? Test it to find out what kind of crap is falling out of the sky?
Yeah, and then you combine fracking and everything else. It's a big mess. They really don't like us. My God, it's like they're doing everything they can to kill us off, and people aren't paying attention.
It's creepy and it's crazy. I was actually at Contact in the Desert a couple of months ago. Big UFO convention. All the big name people were there, and it's like, I sort of was like, wait a minute, some of you guys are deluded, because it was like this hippie type atmosphere and everybody's peace and love and the aliens are going to save us. I'm skeptical, dude, because to me, if you picked 100 human beings, not every one of us is going to be, quote unquote, a good guy. Why would it be any different with an off-world life form?
That's true.
You got to figure at least some of them are hostile with bad intention, just like the wicked-ass humans that are spreading these chemtrails. And like you said, the nanodust. Mm-hmm. I flipped out when I read an article about that. It's like the potential to switch on, like slaves against our will.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, you know what we got to do is we're going to have to basically tell these people that, you know, when they question us about this and think we're nuts, we're going to have to make people look like idiots. I mean, it's almost like it's getting to the point now where instead of us being on the defensive and trying to defend ourselves, we need to make it, the popular culture needs to condemn people that are actually asleep. So in other words, it's got to be, we got to make being awake the hip thing, you know? And
exactly.
I think we're getting, definitely think we're getting it.
Well, you guys got a new fan. I'll be tuning in every Thursday night, brother.
All right, I appreciate it. Join the chat room, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You got it, Steve. Thanks, bro.
All right, adios. All right, well, you know, we're down to about 6 minutes. Okay, we need to go ahead and get him off so we don't get that background noise. Sean, take care of that for me, please. Yes. Is that you, Bill?
Hey, real quick. Yeah, you guys, you have
quick.
anything to say about that corkscrew piping to help water? What would you guys have to say about that?
Well, all right. I'm going to take over here, Jerry, because we're down to the last minute. But yes, that's that movement thing. That's the vortex movement. I think it was Schauberger that saw that when the water was coming down the streams, it would get into little eddies and little vortexes. That would actually bring it back to life, and that caused those hydrogen bonds to form. And that's why when I say you stir your food when you're cooking, and when you take something out of the microwave, stir it and bless it. Bless your food before you eat it. That's how you put it back together. That's how you fix those hydrogen bonds, and you remove the bad karma, the bad chi that got put in there by everybody that touched it before you consumed it. I mean, I even talk to my salad. I have a little bush that has bay leaves, and I'll pull off a few bay leaves, and I'll explain to the plant that I'm going to eat those leaves and thank you. And the plant knows. I mean, they're all life forms. So yes, we have to honor the food that we eat. We have to honor our water and everything. I mean, you tell your water you love it. Tell your water thank you, and it'll do good things for you. Again, we are getting down to the end. I want to thank everybody that called in tonight, and I want to thank everybody out there that's listening, and I want to thank everybody in the chat room, and I want to thank Jerry for joining us, and also I want to thank Bill for hanging in there and being a good guest. I want to remind everybody to please join the Revolution Radio Facebook page. Please friend me on my Facebook page. Please get in the habit of visiting our chat room. Please take a look at helping us with the Support Us button on the homepage for Revolution Radio. And tune in next week. And also visit when we have our open table open mic roundtable discussion on Tuesday. I thank you all very much for being with us. And Jerry, you want to give a plug for the Hollow Tree real quick?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks for having me on, Steve. And if you're interested in finding out more or how you can get some of the holographic technology, head over to the Hollow Tree, HOLO Tree, THELHOLO Tree.com.
Yeah, and they have a Facebook page too.
Absolutely. So hope to see you there.
Yeah.
UFO Con.
UFO Con. They didn't invite me. Come on.
We are going to have a booth at UFO Con, so anyone who's planning on being there, we're going to have special show prices for face-to-face transactions.
All right. Whose show is that anyway? I don't know whose show is that. Is that Lorian's show or Anthony's show or Carrie's show?
It's Lorian's.
All right. I don't know what's going on with Lorian, but she's not talking to me, so hopefully we'll figure out what that problem is all about. Anyway, and I love everybody. I don't know why they're not happy with me. Jeez. Anything else going on that we need to do here real quick, Sean, before we say goodbye? Good night to everybody. We got any quick questions from the chat room? No, we're good. All right. Wonderful. Okay, everybody. Again, I've been seeing a few messages from people here on Facebook saying they enjoyed the show. And again, we really do enjoy putting this show out there. And remember, we're not doing this for our health, and we're not doing this for our egos, and we're not really trying to make a lot of money. We're trying to help everybody, okay? So I hear the music, so please join us again next week, and thank you for being with us. God bless you. Good night.
You've been listening to Revolution Radio.